One Fine Morning brings back memories. One Fine Morning was a seminal and very important record for Lighthouse. This album was recorded and released in 1970, and Lighthouse had already signed a major record deal with RCA Victor a year before this. And in that first year, we produced 3 records, 3 albums, and 3 albums that we did before we got Bob McBride as a lead singer were emblematic of what Lighthouse, what Skip Prokop and I, who founded Lighthouse, were trying to do. We're trying to fuse together rock and roll with influences of jazz and classical music. Strings, we had a string quartet, 4 horns, a quartet of horns, 4-piece rhythm section, and a lead singer. We thought that we could overcome the problem that the Beatles were having. And the Beatles' problem in 1970 was that George Martin, their producer, increasingly used orchestral elements like piccolo trumpets and string quartets and orchestras. And so when the Beatles went on tour, they could no longer reproduce what they were doing in the studio. They were using all of these production techniques and big orchestras. And you can imagine trying to be a band like the Beatles and playing a 100,000 people stadium, and everybody's making so much noise you can't hear anything, and trying to get a microphone on the string quartet. Wouldn't work out. So they stopped touring. And when I met Skip Prokop in 1969, he told me that his manager, who was at that time Albert Grossman, managed Bob Dylan. He managed Peter, Paul and Mary, Janis Joplin, a whole bunch of very large, important acts in the rock and roll and folk space. And he said, Albert Grossman said, I don't want to manage you guys because it's a 13-piece band, you lose money, it's not, it doesn't make financial sense. But one of the guys in Albert Grossman's agency said that he would manage us, so we were managed by the Albert Grossman agency. Skip and I wrote 4 songs. We went down to New York to try to shop them. The first record company that we phoned said that they would see us. They actually, we made the appointment at 10 o'clock in the morning. At 11 o'clock, we were at the Verve Records. And to our great surprise and happiness, the head of the A&R department knew who Skip was because of his band, the Paupers. And he came in and let us play him our demo tape while he listened to it. He loved it, asked us to come back after lunch, and we came back after lunch. To our great amusement and surprise, he and Verve Records offered us on the spot a huge record deal, which we accepted. So the same day that we went down to New York to try to get a deal, we got a record deal. And then we got managed by the Albert Grossman agency. The first 3 Lighthouse recordings were what Skip and I wanted to do. We were producers. We had one of those record deals that you probably couldn't get today, where we had complete creative control. But the issue was we had never produced a record before. So we did what all the guys in the band wanted and what we wanted. We had a lot of long solos. We had great jazz musicians, so we had a lot of jazz solos. Skip was a great drummer. We had drum solos. I was playing vibraphone. I was playing keyboards, piano. And the problem with our records is, in today's parlance, it would be called, we weren't radio friendly, because in 1969, FM radio was just starting to come out, but it wasn't yet in cars. So if you wanted to get on the radio, you had to get on AM radio. And AM radio was basically, for current stuff, hit top 30, top 40 radio. The problem was, the shortest of our songs was probably 4 or 5 or 6 minutes long, and we had tempo changes, and we didn't have the standard verse, chorus, hook, popular song recipe that they were looking for. And so although we drew huge crowds to our live concerts, and although people who had heard us live bought lots of our records, we were selling tens of thousands of records, but we weren't selling millions of records. And after 3 recordings, our record company dropped us because we were so expensive to maintain. They sent us to Japan, where we had a top 10 record. They sent us to Europe, where we played at the Isle of Wight. 300,000 people came to a big festival. But we weren't selling enough records to justify their huge expense of maintaining a truck with a sound system and a lighting system and everything they needed to help get Lighthouse to the next stage. So they dropped us, and we decided to get an outside producer. One Fine Morning is the most important album that happened for Lighthouse, because Skip and I had a chat, and we decided that we needed to make records that were more radio friendly. And one of the ways to get around the problem of not putting everybody solo on, who was our friends and our bandmates, because it made the records too long, was to get an outside producer. We got Jimmy Einer, and the result was the One Fine Morning album. I had a meeting with the band, and he said, I know you guys like to play jazz. I know you like to play long solos, but this is what a radio-friendly record needs to be. And he proceeded to give everybody, all of us, a lesson in how to write a pop tune that would be right for the format of AM radio. And we started writing those songs. The results were the One Fine Morning record and a couple of Skip songs were fantastic. The first one broke airplay for us. We made it into the top 40. And then the second one was the same name as the album, One Fine Morning. Initially, Jimmy Einer had said he didn't want to put it on the album because it had a piano solo in, and it had a long intro, and it was over 5 minutes long, and he said it would never get airplay. But after we released Hats Off to the Stranger, the first single from the One Fine Morning album, the audiences of the radio station started buying some of our LPs, and they started playing One Fine Morning, and they loved it. So they would phone the DJ and say, "Can you play that cut?" And regardless of the fact that it happened to be more than 5 minutes long, the DJs would basically cut out the whole intro and sometimes cut out the piano solo, and they started playing One Fine Morning. And One Fine Morning became Lighthouse's first major hit record, top 40, top 10 in a lot of markets. In Canada, it was, I think, number 1 or number 2. And it changed the trajectory of Lighthouse's career. We subsequently got 9 gold records and a platinum record. And we were able to keep the band together from 1969 when we started to now.
Thanks for watching Behind the Vinyl. We have got a ton more episodes available to you. Your favorite artists with your favorite stories. And here's the thing, we're updating Behind the Vinyl all the time. So if you want to stay up to date on that, simply subscribe by clicking right up here. And you could do us a huge favor by sharing some Behind the Vinyls on your socials. Thanks.